Hello, and welcome back to another Ask Me. We lost connection to the mic. Hold on, let's see if we're good. Hopefully we're good. If anyone has a thumbs up or can drop a comment, let me know. If the audio looks like it's good now, we are hoping. Okay, cool. Someone already saying, I'm sure it will be worth it. I'm going to do my best to make it worth your while to show up here. So formats for this is you can use the chat to ask any of your Amazon ad questions. I will be here for about an hour. I was dog sick yesterday and my throat was so bad I couldn't even speak. I actually had to cancel some of my other meetings. Unfortunately, we're gonna, fingers crossed, my voice holds out for an hour today. If not, I might end it a little bit early. We're gonna see how we do here. But yeah, super excited. So for those of you first time joining in, hey, my name is Elizabeth Greene. I'm the co-founder of an Amazon ad agency. So we're Junglr, we're the we're the agency for 7-figure brands who are 8-figure ambitions. So basically people who want to grow. And if you would like to see when any of our future lives are, if you're catching this on the replay, recommend going to our website, going to the Q&A section. There's a place that you can see what the upcoming Q&As are, or if you want to enter in a question so I can answer it live for you, we can absolutely do that as well. Other cool things, I don't know if anyone's watching, or going to be at Prosper. I'm actually going to be speaking at Prosper this month, which is going to be super exciting. And I will actually be speaking on the topic of bulk files and walking through some very probably not as well-known use cases for bulk files and how those can save your team significant amount of time. So if you are going to be at Prosper, I will be there, although I'm leaving on the 6th. But if you're going to be at Prosper, let me know. Shoot me a DM on whatever the socials are. I would love to meet up with you. So yeah, it just depends on who's watching and if we have any Amazon ad questions. So if you do have any Amazon ad questions, make sure you drop them in the chat. Oh, Chad is in with the question. Love it. Awesome. Oh, Chad and Kim, you guys are always here. Hopefully I can give you guys some good answers today. So Chad says, hey, Elizabeth, hello. How do you view ad sales versus ad sales, same SKU? When you have a big disparity, what insights and actions does this ignite for you and your team? That's a really good question. I'm probably going to frame kind of how that works for the audience as well. So Chad's question revolves around the fact that if you have a variation listing, there's this weird dynamic where whatever variation shows up in your advertising is going to get the click, but it's also going to be attributed the sale, even if they purchase a different SKU or a different variation from you, which is a little bit funky. And that's actually why calculating things like total A cost and ad sale percentage and anything that sort of will mathematically correlate total sales with any of your ad sales or ad spend, you can get into some funky numbers. So Chad's question was, hey, basically if we have, total ad sales. So maybe the orange one's getting all the clicks. I'm going to share with you a very specific instance in which I found this. Maybe the orange one is getting all the clicks in the advertising. And so therefore, if we're looking at the advertising sales, it says that, oh, the orange one's getting all of the sales. However, maybe that one is technically getting all the sales in terms of the advertising. However, when everyone's clicking onto the listing, they're actually purchasing the black one, right? And how you would actually find this out is you want to go look at your purchase product report. That's the report you're looking at. It will actually tell you what the click SKU was, and then it will actually tell you the purchase SKU. And you can run a pivot table off of this, which is a little bit interesting to see sort of, when someone clicks this one, where is their purchase action. So you can actually kind of map that shopper behavior there. So if you want to go and analyze it, I would say go download the purchase product report, pivot off the SKU, and then look for kind of like the sales attributions for that. Now, how do we take action here? Because that's a real question. Like, we can analyze this. We know these things happen. How do we take action? What we have come about is we simply prioritize whatever variation has the best performance in terms of advertising. That's why we're really careful to also roll up total A cost to the parent ASIN level as well, to kind of validate if ads are profitable. Because like I said, if a product is getting all of the spend and maybe the ad sales attribution, but of course in the business reports it's not going to calculate that you got a sale when in fact on one variation, when it's in fact they purchased the other variation. So that's why you can have all the spend on one SKU and then all the sales are on the other SKU. And so if you're calculating again SKU level total A cost, you can lead you to maybe optimizing things that aren't necessarily broken in the advertising. I have a very specific example for this. So we were advertising for a product that had a whole bunch of different colors. It was like a home's good product. And when we advertised the orange, they had a very distinct, very bright orange color that was unlike anything else in the market. And so that one performed the best in terms of their advertising. However, if you went and you looked at the business reports and the sales, that one actually performed the worst in terms of like the sales volume. And so the thought was, okay, well, the black one is the one that performs the best. And so logically, we're like, well, if the black one's getting all the sales and, it's kind of up there in terms of the ad performance, maybe we should go and we should advertise the black one. We should push more advertising to the black one. And we ran that test. And what we actually found is that the click-through rates diminished and the amount of traffic that our advertising was getting, and actually our ad performance degraded because there was something about that bright orange color. Although it didn't appeal to shoppers in terms of purchase, they much preferred the black one. Our ads performed really significantly better when we just kind of went with what was working in the advertising. So what I would say is, as far as like how do we navigate the disparity, I would just say I would hone in on what your ad numbers are telling you and then optimize based on that, and then just let again, analysis of the purchase product report, analysis of your business reports, sort of, maybe shape how you're seeing the data, but just understanding I would optimize based on what is performing best in the ads. That was a very long answer, Chad. Hopefully that answered your question. But it's a really good one. There's really interesting dynamics in terms of, like multi-variation listings and how do you navigate that? So great question. Here's a good question from Kim. Elizabeth, how do you track which campaigns you have negated search terms for? Through bulk files. And I have a video for you. Actually, I'm going to give you guys, there's something that I have not, it is not publicly mapped on our site yet. It is something that I'm actually going to be sharing with people on Prosper. I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek. Okay. And I'm also going to drop it in the chat here. It is... Sorry, added the wrong person from stage. All right, here we go. This is a resource that I'm putting out on, because a lot of people have questions on bulk files. I'm going to drop it out in the chat. So if you have to go directly to that link, or you can go to junglr.com/bulk files, like files with an S. However, there will be this, so adding negative keywords. If you use bulk files to add in negative keywords, you'll be keeping a record for yourself of the keywords, the negative keywords that you added, which will be highly helpful for you. So I recommend going through and looking at that. The other thing that you can do if you've like already added a bunch of stuff is you can actually download, say, a full bulk file. And if you go through there, you can filter the entity column for like negative keywords, and that will bring up all of your negative keywords. And then you can use the campaign information columns to see like what campaign or the ad group is. So it'll say ad group name, informational only. You could check those two columns and it'll say like what campaigns, what ad groups are they in. And that will be very helpful for like identifying where you could have potentially added in negative keywords and where you might potentially want to remove them. This is a great question from Joseph. Is there a way to see all keywords for a specific item using a bulk sheet since the keyword rows don't have the identifier to add in the SKU? Yes, you can. It is a more multi-step process. I'm going to see if I can pull up the Loom video. I'm going to give it to you now. It looks like you're watching on YouTube. So there is a way that you can use finding mixed ad spend. So this is a video that I did. So it's a piece of a presentation. It is essentially how to take a bulk file. So you're going to take a bulk file and you're going to take a business report. And the reason why you're taking that business, I'm teaching how to pivot off the parent ASIN. You could essentially do it off of the child ASIN though, if you wanted to do that. So there's a couple ways of doing that. I'm pivoting off of, again, I'm using the business report to get the parent ASIN and then rolling that up to the parent ASIN with all of the SKUs underneath it. If you only wanted to do, say, the child ASIN, what you would do is you would take a bulk file download. Now, this is only going to work for sponsored products and sponsored display ads because sponsored brand ads, they don't break out each product into its own individual row. What you're going to do is you're going to create a pivot table off of the ASIN column or the SKU column, depending on whatever it is that you want to get. And then you're going to add additional columns to display all of the campaigns and all of the ad groups that those products are being advertised in. Once you have that list, then you can take that list and you can then go search. You can basically map the list of ad groups and campaigns to the information columns inside of the bulk file, which will allow you to get all of your keywords that you are advertising for a particular SKU. So it's a couple step process, but if you know what you're doing, it's not impossible. The only caveat there would be do you have more than one SKU being advertised for that keyword? That can get a little bit messy, and I don't know if that's something that you need to know. You can find that out, and I'm gonna drop that link to that Loom video there. That Loom video will also show you how to figure out if there's more than one SKU being advertised in a campaign, which you might find helpful. So, again, long answer, but hopefully that was helpful, Joseph. Great question again. A lot of technical stuff, which are my favorite. In regards to, hey, Elizabeth, thank you for hosting this. My pleasure. Good question. If my ads are driven 90% by sponsor brands video ads, is it good or bad? What is your take on that? I'm going to say it's not great. And the only reason I would say that logically, not a problem, right? If performance is best. I have audited brands, and I will say this. Every single brand that I have audited that has had more than 60, probably about 70% of their total sales being driven through sponsored brands or sponsored display ads, and very little of their sales being driven through sponsored product ads, all of them have struggled with market share, particularly ranking. Which leads me to the conclusion. Again, we're in theoretical territory here, just based off of observations of looking at hundreds of accounts. Is that sponsored brand ads don't typically seem to have as big of an impact on your organic ranking, which means although you might be driving high volumes of sales, it might not necessarily be leading to the increase in market share that you would like. So I'd say if there's a way that you can correct for that, that would be ideal. But the only reason I would have a problem of it is that observation that I just told you. And I have a feeling it's probably going to come back to bite you in the long run. Question by Newman. Bundles are considerably underperforming every time if I try to advertise them to relevant audiences. I face this issue most accounts featuring bundles. Yeah, I'm assuming, are you talking virtual bundles? I don't know if you're talking virtual bundles. If you have any, let me see. And if you have any further like context on this question, feel free to drop it in the chat. But I would say like virtual bundles, to my knowledge, there is like a weird hack that I've heard of that you can use to advertise them in sponsored product ads, but it's a time sensitive thing and may or may not work for you in your account. You can advertise virtual bundles using sponsored brand ads, and I would agree with you. Every time I've seen that, it's been underperforming. Now, if you're talking about bundles as in like a grouped product, but it's its own standalone, like listing, like it's not like a virtual bundle, then most likely it has to do with the fact that like maybe your bundles aren't as targeted. Like if you have like a group of products, or you add in extras, you add in something to make the product more appealing to shoppers, it has to make sense, and it also has to be something that they're looking for. What I found is every time we try and advertise a product where there's no like very defined shopper searches around that exact product, those products tend to underperform a little bit. So I'm not sure which of those it was, but hopefully that answer was helpful. So again, feel free to post a follow-up comment if you want to add context to that. All right, Mohammed, how can I get my ads convert well? I'm facing an issue in conversion. One of my products, listing content, images, A+ and video are okay. Need your advice. Thanks. Target more shopper intent keywords, meaning you want to go and target the keywords that are the specific keywords that shoppers are typing into search to find products like yours. I would look at that. Now, I will say you do want to make sure that your conversion rates are rock solid, right? The way that you would check this is if ideally you're brand registered, you can check your search query reports. You want to know, what is my conversion rate in relation to my market? You also can check, get an idea from search query reports. I just said search query, sorry. Brand metrics inside of the ad console will also give you your conversion rate versus the average in your category. What we have found is that if the average conversion rate is below sort of that average in your category, you really are going to struggle with ranking. The other thing that you can check a little bit is the product opportunity explorer. It can give you some idea of your market as well. And when I said like very high shopper intent keywords, I highly recommend, I gotta find the video here, but I have a video basically going over, it's a keyword research workshop. And if you're not like super familiar with going through and looking, it's this one right here, the Amazon Advertising Live Q&A. No, I'm just kidding. That's not it. Shoot, where is it? Not the live Q&A one, I swear. Okay, this one, sorry. Keyword research for Amazon product launches workshop. That one I go through extensively on keyword research, how to look at keywords, how to think through keywords. I would highly recommend going through that. It's going to give you a really good insights into like how we go about choosing keywords, which is really, really important when it comes to conversion rates. 2 things you do with conversion rates to fix it: target better keywords that have higher conversion rate intent, and upgrade your listing, basically. Chad says this was on the variations. Appreciate the explanation. My absolute pleasure. The specific example is not actually a variation. Is it possible the customer clicked on the original ad and clicked on defense campaign ad and converted? Yes. So it is a last click attribution model with advertising. So you're saying, does the app distribution make sense or progress? They organically searched a different product and found a different product on the store page. Yes, that is entirely possible. Unfortunately, it's hard to like actually map that exact path to purchase there. I will say it is a last click attribution model. And if you're talking sponsored products, there's a 7-day window, which as long as they come back and purchase within that 7-day window of from when they last clicked on your ad, it is going to be attributed to that particular advertising. And if it is sponsored brands or sponsored display ads, there's a 14-day attribution window from that last ad click. So it's entirely possible that, you know, they could have come back or searched around or done something like that. Grugor said, yes, I'm struggling to keep the high organic rankings compared to my competitors. Thank you for the feedback. Yeah, it can be difficult, especially if the sponsor brands video ads are the main ones that are converting and they're the ones getting you the best performance, right? It's a struggle, but I will say again, I've just kind of noted over the years, I've seen that enough that I could say I would lean into sponsored products a little bit more, and that should be able to help fix ranking. All right, Joseph, question. I have many auto campaigns with the Bork reports displayed keyword targeting under column L, which is keyword text in column, and I cannot update the bids with the filter note in the ad console. Thanks. Yes. So the reason why you would have this happening is most likely that these are old auto campaigns, and in the old auto campaigns, there's not multiple targeting types. There was the only way you could adjust the bid was at the ad group level. So if you're seeing this issue, what I would do is I would look at the campaign name and the ad group, and I would filter for those, and I would look for the ad group that is associated with that, and you can adjust the ad group bid for that specific auto, and then that should help. But yeah, it's kind of a weird annoyance. But oftentimes those old autos just perform really well, and so we're kind of stuck doing it that way. All right, thank you for the feedback. All right, that's awesome. Glad it was good feedback on that variation or the bundle. I wasn't sure where that is. All right, good question from Joseph. What's the targeting tab in the ad console? Should I use it? Heck yes, use it. One of my favorite updates to the ad console has been the targeting tab. Oh, it was glorious when it rolled out. So you know how when you're trying to go and adjust everything, right? You got to click into the campaign, then you got to click into the ad group, then you got to click down into the targeting, and then you go and adjust the targeting. Essentially, think of the targeting tab as a continuous view of all of your targets across your entire account in one central view, which can be fabulous, as you can imagine, because what you can do is you can sort and say, basically filter by spend and say, what is the highest spend target across my entire account? And you can filter for like orders equals 0 and clicks, sort clicks or spend greatest to lowest over multiple date ranges, because you can even look at lifetime view. If you wanted to go into your account today and say, what are all of the targets that I've spent on across my entire account that have never converted to an order over the entire time that I've been advertising, you can do that. And the only place you can do that is through the targeting tab. So it is a fabulous tool. I would absolutely recommend use it. The only caveat I would say is that for some inexplicable reason, the targeting tab does not include targets for sponsored brand ads. So the sponsor brand's headline as well as video ads. So do keep that in mind. But from my recollection, it also does have sponsored display ads in there, so you should be good. But yes, I would use the targeting tab. If you've been managing bids manually or you've been clicking into campaigns and filtering to find certain things, I would simply take what you're doing already and I would apply it into use on the targeting tab. Yeah, Joseph says, wow, super helpful. I'm sure it'll save a lot of time. So much time. So much time. My favorite way. Okay, so when your ad spend goes crazy and you're trying to figure out what the heck happened, and you can see it on the graph, you can see that point of change. My favorite thing to do is to find that point of change, go into my targeting tab, select from then till present, and say, what is my highest spend targets across my entire account? And then pro tip here is if you look at the top and your top spending items are say auto or broad or categories or anything that has like just a whole bunch of search terms that could be triggered through it, I will right click on open that ad group So there's two blue links. You can go directly to the campaign. You can go directly to the ad group. I'll right click on it so I can open it in a new tab. So I can keep that first tab open with all of my targets. And then I'll investigate those targets within that campaign. And then I'll actually go straight into the search term tab. So if you wanted a quick way to like spot check search terms that might potentially be underperforming, my workflow is targeting tab, high spend or underperforming broader targets, right click, go to the ad group, go to the search term tab, see what in the search terms has been, maybe overspending or underperforming within that select date range. And you will find targets that maybe like due to you only looking at longer date ranges, or maybe you haven't been keeping up with your negatives or like all kinds of things, you'll probably find a lot of waste in that workflow. So, cool. Great question. How do you optimize the top of search product pages and rest of search effectively when you don't get satisfied results and the cost per click is getting high? We have a video that we're still editing. So keep a look out on our YouTube channel, and also keep a look out on that. Again, I'm going to be condensing and adding all of these videos here to this particular page. So if you would like, again, go to junglr.com/bulk files is the best way to find it. I have a video coming out on how to adjust bulk files or how to adjust placement percentages using bulk files, because that's like the easiest and quickest workflow for you. Now your question is how to optimize the top of search effectively when you don't get satisfied results and the cost per click is getting high. Yeah, I would say optimize based on performance. Really. I'm a huge fan of optimizing the bids and then leveraging placements to add just that extra bump for performance. I'm not a huge fan of doing like massive wild swings in the placement percentages and then maybe just keeping low bids or not really optimizing the bids. So I would say that way I would care more about the actual keyword level of performance than I would about stressing myself out about the bids. I've seen this so many times. People who are like, okay, this is a ranking campaign. I must get top of search placement. This is the best placement. This is the only placement. And so they'll continuously push and they'll stress out about impressions that are happening on product pages. As long as I'm seeing increases in ranking and as long as I'm seeing good performance at the keyword level, I wouldn't overstress myself about placements. I know that's kind of like a non-answer, like don't worry about it as much, but I would say optimize the keywords a little bit more and then keep on a lookout for the how to optimize placement percentages using bulk files, because that's the easiest way to do it at scale. Because to be honest, optimizing placements across an entire ad account manually, it's pretty difficult, very time consuming. All right, Joseph. And with the great questions today. Is it fair to say that in general, if ACoS is less than 30%, you're leaving money on the table? And should you be trying to bid up in order to get to a 30% ACoS? Not necessarily. I would add a caveat to that. And I would say if your ACoS is less than 30% and you still think there's potential for you to push advertising to rank on that keyword, then yes, you're most likely leaving money on the table. However, what if I'm ranking top of search on that particular keyword? I don't have anywhere else to go, right? In terms of pushing that. So I would say it depends on what you think the organic rank impact can be. Because what you'll find is that if you push all of your targets across your entire account, trying to get them right at that 30%, that doesn't leave you room for targets that may, I don't want to say underperform, but may run a little bit hotter than that. So for example, right, what if I had a bunch of targets that are running at like 45%, but those are my ranking keywords and that's what's keeping my product rank. And that's what's driving the results in terms of market share for me. Well, if I push everything to the 30%, all of a sudden my averages go up because your ACoS is average of your total ad sales total ad spend divided by total ad sales, right? So if I can keep some of my targets a little bit below that because I'm running them for more profitability. So we'll do that in accounts all the time. Like sometimes you'll see like a low bid auto campaign and it's like 15% A cost and your target's like 30 and you're like, oh my gosh, I should totally push this. No, because you want that profitability. You want that low cost visibility to help you offset a lot of the ads that again are running up really high, are higher than your average A cost because you need to maintain that higher than average A cost or you're going to lose out in terms of impressions for those ads. And that's highly important. So you basically want to reach the equalized balance, and your sort of benchmark is how much do I think that, pushing this target is going to be helpful to my gain in market share. That would be my one benchmark. And then how much is me pushing this target going to like affect my overall averages? So I would say like you're pretty much right, but I would add in that caveat. But I like the way you're thinking. All right. Or I said, just shared this live session in my Discord community. Well, I thank you. I appreciate it. Hopefully, glad that you enjoy listening to me spiel on and off because this is the stuff that gets me excited. I love answering these questions. Just as very impressed with the answer. How can I get access to Marketing Stream? I'm interested in sale performance by the hour. Cool, interesting. Okay, so you have to be running DSP to get Do we have access to Marketing Stream? I'm gonna have to ask my developer. I believe it's available via the API. It's actually relatively easy to get Amazon Ad API access. It's harder, much harder. We got it, but it's harder to get the SP API, which includes like total sales data and stuff. You can get it, but I have good news for you. You can actually go into your account today and get our. Now it's going to be at a campaign level, but you can actually download. If you go into sponsored, I think it's only for sponsored products. Maybe sponsored display. I don't remember. I think it's only for sponsored products. But you can download a sponsored product campaign report. And if you select that report, you can actually see the option to select hourly for that. And that will actually be able to, you can download for, again, whatever date range, it'll actually give you the hourly data per campaign. Now, what I would say is that if you're going to access that data, the amount of like clicks and, sort of data validity, I can't speak today, data validity you're going to get at an individual campaign level. Like there's probably not going to be enough clicks to make a determination. However, if you could go and you like create a pivot table off of like hours of the day or something, then you kind of like aggregate all that data together, and then you can kind of make use of the hourly data. So you can actually access today. It's a lot easier. Now you're not going to get like very incremental data, but it'll be helpful. And honestly, even if you had incremental data, you would still want to roll it up to some level where it's going to, like, you can actually have enough clicks to make it useful, I guess is what I would say. Oh, Sheila had a question about the influencer program. Apologies, I don't really have any experience with the influencer program, so I could not, I wouldn't be able to speak to that. I apologies for that. But I mean, it's a great question. I'm not going to be able to answer it for you, unfortunately. JP has a question. Hey, Elizabeth Greene. Hello and welcome. Welcome to the live stream. Could you give us some insights on your basis, such as reducing the bids if your target got 50% over the last 30 days? Appreciate your lives as always. Well, I appreciate you being here and I appreciate the question. So this is a big one. We actually have a video. It was from No, it doesn't give us it doesn't give away the secret sauce, because to be honest, I'm the one who wrote our bid algorithms and I think it's pretty amazing. We actually have a video on our YouTube channel, this one in particular. So it's like how we adjust bids. This is actually an internal training. Now it's like an overview, an idea, and I put it out so like our team, as they were like working through sort of our bid tools, they could understand the logic that we apply. What I will say is that if you have a benchmark optimization, regardless of a keyword's impact on your account, you're going to end up hurting your sales. And I only know this because I've done it. So what you'll do is you might see that 50% A cost target keyword. You're like, oh my gosh, this is too high. Totally totally have to bring it down. And I would agree. However, you want to also gauge the impact on potential sales, meaning how many sales is this keyword driving? You actually want to factor that into your bid adjustments, because what I've seen is that oftentimes these keywords that have really high sales velocity are typically the keywords that are helping you drive better market share and better organic ranking. And what I found is that if you have a blanket approach, like if I gave you like, oh, go and reduce all your bids by 30% if they're above X target A costs, right? Some of those bids are going to be adjusted too much, and some of those bids are going to be adjusted too little. And so it really has to do with the sales impact. So we think of it in levels of, and sales impact is relative to your account. If you have only, say, 1 or 2 keywords in your entire account that are driving any sales for the brand, those 1 or 2 sales are highly important relative to what the rest of my ads are doing. So if you told me that, say, this keyword is at 50%, I'm doing a 30% ad, this is not really an important keyword to me, I need to drive it lower, I would say, you're probably good lowering this, good 20-30% or something. The way we benchmark not being as aggressive is we'll benchmark it relative to the cost per click. So if I'm being really aggressive with my optimizations, I'm bringing my bids well below my average cost per clicks. If I'm not being overly aggressive, I'm going to be careful with how close my new bid is going to get to at or below my cost per clicks. And that's the way that I would think of it. So it doesn't really give you like a adjust bids by X. Sorry about that. I know I've seen ad accounts where people have adjust all bids by X, and it's absolutely decimated their sales velocity. And so what I would say is, you're good to drop bids. Again, good 20-30% typically speaking. But I would look at what is that 20 or 30% decrease. Where does that land me relative to my cost per click? And if it's significantly under and the sales are very high, I would want to bring my new bid, probably at or maybe even slightly higher than my cost per click. And that's how we do it. So hopefully that was helpful. I know it was a long spiel with a lot of it depends, but that's kind of like how we would like to operate. Just as but that hourly sales trend not overly. Yeah. So that would be PPC hourly sales, not overall sales. I think with the marketing stream, you can get overall sales trends. I would have to go check. I would have to check with my developer. So maybe get back to me. Cool. Another great question coming in. If you have a product with a lot of long tail keywords, but the root of all those long tail keywords are the same, you just put the root in phrase and broad and then the others into exact match. You could. I would be a fan of putting them all, advertising them all. I know they all share the same root keywords, but even if they share the same root keywords, they still will have their own performance. Each keyword, regardless if it shares the same root or not, is going to have its own performance. And so I would say I would advertise all of them. The only difference would be the strategy you mentioned where you're, putting the root in phrase or broad and then only being hyper targeted with the exact match. That strategy, it's not going to give you as much impressions. It's not going to push you out into the platform as much, but it will be a lot cheaper because you're technically advertising on less keywords and less potential, say, variations to the searches. So I would say if you have a limited budget, go with the strategy you said. If you're looking to maximize visibility, I would advertise them. I would advertise all the keywords. Hopefully that makes sense. Cool. Taking another sip here because my voice is holding up, but I'm reaching my end. So it looks like we got another couple minutes here. We'll see if anyone else has any questions in the chat. If not, here we go. One from Joseph. What does top of search do by product targeting campaigns? Yeah, product targeting campaigns actually will trigger keywords. Now, it used to be that it didn't really show up in your search term report, which was kind of annoying. Like, we knew it happened, but we didn't know where it was happening. Now we've actually started seeing it show up more in search term reports. So I would check search term reports to see if you can kind of like gauge where that happens. Fun fact is, we actually were able to get some Amazon choice badges off of just product targeting. So I do know it has a correlation with ranking and then badges, but it's still a little bit of a black box. We just know that it happens. But good question. Yeah, very good question. What is the new rest of search placement do? Yeah, so it maximizes your keyword if your performance is better, not top of search. So anywhere on the rest of the page. And from my understanding, the top of search is classified by the top 4 placements on a search page. So yeah, it adds the same, sort of increased bid variable if you can get, better in the rest of search placements. Hopefully that was helpful. Awesome. Good question. Can we advertise virtual bundles? You can, only in sponsored brand ads. Now, I was recently on, actually presented at the Kevin King's $1 Billion Seller Summit. And in there, someone said there was a hack. If you created the virtual bundles and then you took that SKU and immediately went and launched a sponsored product campaign, that you were able to do that. I have yet to test that because that requires like coordinating, creating the virtual bundle with creating the advertising. And apparently it was like a very short window in which that worked. And it was kind of a little bit clunky. So I have yet to test that. Someone said it was possible, which I think is kind of interesting. But otherwise, you can advertise them in sponsored brand ads. And I'm not sure if you caught the answer before. Performance of advertising virtual bundles is, it is what it is. It's not like the best. It's not terrible. Definitely could be better though. Cool. Any other questions in the chat? My voice is gonna go. See if we can hold out another 15 minutes if there's enough questions. If not, I'm gonna call it a day. Cool. Well, if any of you watching are going to be at Prosper, I'm actually going to be speaking on the day of the 3rd, actually at 3:40, which is Vegas time. I'm going to be talking all about bulk files and pro tips on how to leverage them to save you and your team time, so you can take things that are hours and days projects and you can turn them out in a matter of minutes. It's going to be super amazing presentation. I'm super stoked for it because it's one of my first loves is bulk files, and so I'm really excited to share it with the Prosper audience. So if you guys are going to be there, make sure you hit me up in the DMs or message me somewhere, and would absolutely love to meet up. Yeah, and if any of you are interested, and if you're catching the replay of this or you're wondering when these lives are happening, highly recommend going to our website, going to resources, clicking on Q&As. Here you're going to see all of our upcoming lives. You can get access to them. And then if you have any questions, if you're watching the replay and you're like, dang it, I'm never going to watch these things live, feel free to use our form here, and you can enter in your Amazon ad question, and we'll make sure to prioritize answering those on a next live. So looks like we're pretty thin on the comments, which is great. My voice is about to run out. So I really appreciate everyone joining. There was some insanely great questions this week. As always, this is my favorite day of the week. I really appreciate the questions, and I will see you guys all after I get back from Prosper next Thursday. So thanks so much, y'all.